Don't judge a book by its cover. This is a metaphor that came from George Eliot's book in the 1860s. What does this mean? It means just by looking at somebody, you shouldn't judge that particular person, or in my case, that particular breed of dog, just by the perceptions that have came out lately. I feel the same that goes for pit bulls. I've had the pleasure of being an owner of this misunderstood breed for 5 years. I helped raise my bully named Oki, as shown on the screen, from when he was 6 weeks old until he was 5. My son was fortunate to have been raised with him from when I was pregnant until he was 4 years old. Almost all bullies have been confused with pit bulls. And this is because pit bulls have a distinct look to them, and bullies are actually mixed of not only pit bull, the American pit bull terriers, but a multitude of different breeds. It is actually rare to find a full American pit bull breed, as explained by Elizabeth Gear in her 2018 article. So most pit bulls that we consider pit bulls today are actually bullies, not just pit bulls, but mixed breeds of different breeds. My goal today is for you to smile at a bully. They are not all that bad because they are heroic, companions, and very likable. Bullies have not always had this bad reputation. By the end of this speech, I would like for all of you to be able to look at a bully without being frightened. This is the same fear. For the same fear is why my bully got put down when he was only 5 years old. It was the misconcept of all pit bulls are bad, and shelters only keep pit bulls or bullies for 3 days in a shelter if they're not claimed. Unfortunately, my ex-husband was about 4 hours too late, and then he got put down. So I just want to change everybody's perception of the pit bull breed. I want to begin with this very important statement that the reputation of pit bulls hasn't always been this way. This has only been recent. They've actually been heroic. Pit bulls in the very early 20th century were known as the American family dog. They also served in the World War I war. And most importantly, there was one that Greer has introduced us to, and that was Sergeant Stubby. Sergeant Stubby was actually a World War I soldier who got a Purple Heart for saving his fellow soldiers, and actually got promoted and ranked up to a sergeant. Nowadays, bullies are different types of heroes. They're now used for therapy service dogs for military members to help with their PTSDs. Bullies can be heroic, as example of Sergeant Stubby, but they're also great companions. As Helen Keller experienced herself firsthand, noted in a 2012 article by the staff of Good Pit Bulls, they talk about Sir Thomas. Sir Thomas was one of Helen Keller's, not service dogs, but actually a longtime companion, which is in a lot of her early writings. Sir Thomas was a mix of not only a pit bull, but a Boston Terrier. And just like my very own Oki, he was a wonderful companion, not only to me, but to my whole entire family. besides being companions, they're also very likable. Who remembers the TV series The Little Rascals, the original TV series The Little Rascals? Mm-hmm. They had, for your youngsters, it was a bunch of neighborhood kids who hung out, and one of the kids had a pit bull named Petey. Petey was a very famous TV icon in the early 40s, I believe. So for many decades and generations, he was likable and loved by all of America. The focus here today throughout my speech is showing that bullies aren't all bad, and they are loved throughout the early America. So I would like for all of you to make a goal to stop and smile at a bully today, because they aren't always that bad. Throughout all my examples, you can see that they're heroic, good companions, and also likable. The next time you see a bully breed, I want you to think of the heroic Sergeant Stubby. I want you to think of the loving companion that Helen Keller had with Sir Thomas, and for Petey, the likable icon. I would also like for you to remember Okie French, who was our longtime companion, and who my son still dreams about and says he plays with them in heaven. And so when you see a pit bull or a bully, do me a favor, look at him and think of all these examples and give one a smile. Thank you for listening.